No. You rise to the occasion. Experience comes with age, and I've been hearing a lot about age.
Off my list, and I knew this was going to be a big fight. The build-up for this is huge. The press conferences are entertaining. It's a spectacle.
With only 17 days left until the Anthony Joshua vs. Jake Paul showdown, the tension is rising as both fighters push themselves to the limit. Training is at its peak, with Joshua fine-tuning his power, timing, and footwork, while Jake is pushing through intense conditioning to stay on top. Every session counts now, and the excitement and pressure around the fight continue to build as the countdown ticks closer.
And I have nothing but love for him, but I'm going to knock him out respectfully, and you know, we can hug and kiss afterwards, specifically kiss.
Anthony Joshua's training camp ahead of his fight with Jake Paul is already in full swing, and this time it's a major change for him as he switched camps. Joshua hasn't fought since his knockout loss in September 2024 and the elbow surgery that followed, so this camp comes with extra urgency. He is reportedly focusing on conditioning, technique drills, footwork, and ringcraft training with Usyk's coaches, aiming to enter the fight sharper and smarter. Joshua admits the change is significant. Training under a new camp has pushed him harder than ever, both physically and mentally. He's using this period to rebuild his confidence, sharpen his strengths, and prepare seriously for what could be a high-stakes comeback. Anthony Joshua starts his mornings with intense ice baths to strengthen his body and speed up recovery during camp. The freezing water helps reduce inflammation, keeps his muscles fresh, and builds mental toughness. Joshua believes these cold therapy sessions sharpen his focus and get him ready for the heavy training later in the day. It's a strict routine that shows his dedication to staying strong and fully prepared for the upcoming fight. Anthony Joshua trains in an environment built on discipline, precision, and constant improvement. Surrounded by experienced coaches focused on technique and strategy, he approaches every session with purpose. His drills aim to tighten his offensive bursts while developing a defense that reacts instinctively. Coaches closely watch his rhythm, foot placement, and punch variation, pushing him to break old habits and evolve. Observers note how seriously he takes every correction. Rather than relying solely on natural strength, he works to sharpen his understanding of angles, distance, and counters. His movement becomes more deliberate, shifting smoothly between defensive slips and sharp counterpunch combinations. This camp challenges him to grow not just physically, but mentally, refining the instincts needed for the unpredictable moments that define heavyweight boxing.
Trying to rediscover a little bit of that confidence. He's gone to Alexander Usyk, where we're hearing reports he's out there, training with Usyk and the team, trying to pick up something, trying to rediscover something.
That's very strange, Paul, isn't it?
It is, but it's not unheard of. I've heard of a lot of fighters doing that. You see fighters, obviously, it's the old Rocky movies years ago, but you see a fighter losing to someone, all of a sudden they go in the camp and they start training and do a little bits together and become friends or whatever else. I think it'll do Joshua no harm travelling, but as you say, he's a little bit long in the tooth and he's a bit on the back nine rather than the front nine, where that experience would really come into play. But I'm just looking at his record here. He obviously, after the Usyk fight, he'd come back and he had 3 fights and then the Ngannou demolition
Well,
job.
yeah, Jermaine Franklin, he had Robert Helene, he had Otto Wallin, and he smashed Ngannou, which everyone went hallelujah for, right?
Yeah, but he's obviously not in like the box rec rankings to see where he is. But the Dubois fight is a fight where what you've just said then, Spencer, like match him right. I felt he was matched right with Dubois. That's just my opinion.
Just
obviously, I was wrong on that and I was proved wrong, but I felt like Joshua would have and should have came through that, but he obviously didn't. So therefore, it's back to the drawing board, and where do you go from there? What do you do from there? Does he keep the same team around him? Does he go and find someone new and try and adapt and add to his repertoire already? And this move at Usyk, I don't know what it'll be, but if he's fighting before Christmas, then he needs to get in shape quick because there's only 8 weeks to go, let's say.
Well, my understanding, he's in camp, he's in shape, and just looking to get an out and get back to winning ways, is my understanding. That's why they're talking about 8-rounders.
Yeah.
He wants to sort of go under the radar a little bit, and it's difficult for someone like Anthony Joshua because he's such a commercial commodity.
He's always been in shape all the time, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He always will be in shape. He's never, ever not been.
But it's not about his physical shape, is it? No one's ever questioned his physical state. Zach, when I was talking about Anthony Joshua, and I know that the president of his fan club is here in Spencer, but I talked about the PTSD issue post various fights, whether it be the Alexander Usyk or the Daniel Dubois situation. But prior to Daniel Dubois, I always maintained that I felt that despite the performance against Jermaine Franklin, despite the performance against Robert Helenius, which had been blasted out by...
Eddie Hearn approaches this matchup with a clear sense of importance, fully aware of how much rests on Joshua's performance. He recognizes that this fight carries consequences far beyond pride or bragging rights. For Joshua, the outcome could shape the course of the latter part of his career. Hearn does not sugarcoat the reality. Losing a fight like this would raise serious questions about whether continuing is worthwhile. Yet, despite the stakes, Hearn's confidence in Joshua remains strong. He believes the months of hard work have rebuilt Joshua's discipline and sharpened his focus. From conditioning to sparring routines, Joshua has treated every part of his preparation as if a championship title were on the line. Hearn highlights that this mindset is what convinces him Joshua will rise to the occasion. Reports from inside training sessions reinforce this belief, showing a fighter performing with composure and renewed determination. Even under pressure, Joshua pushes forward, meeting the challenge head-on instead of shying away from it.
You and AJ must retire if Jake Paul wins on December 19th. Stand by that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I suppose so. Shit, yeah. Look, I don't see a world where Jake Paul wins this fight. I know that boxing's boxing. I mean, what was it? Roy Jones came out this morning and said Jake Paul can win this fight.
Teddy Atlas as well.
Teddy Atlas. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, now I'm a bit worried. I won't retire. AJ should retire if he loses. No.
Sorry.
No, I see AJ winning this fight with ease, comprehensively, destructively, violently, and I don't see a world where Jake Paul is competitive in the fight, let alone win the fight. But luckily, AJ's not preparing in a way that he just thinks it's a joke. He's preparing for Jake Paul like he's a world title contender. Yes, it's been a little bit of a shorter camp. Yes, we've got to make weight this time around, but it doesn't matter. We should just slide through this guy and bash him up and beat him up, and we should do it early doors.
Just lastly, you said as well that you told Nikisa that he was weighing 290 when you were negotiating. What impact did that have? Did you feel like they would have gone even lower if they knew he was weighing 265?
No, I mean, I don't think that when you're negotiating on a weight, there's not one promoter in the world that would tell the truth about what the weight of the fighter was, and Nikisa knows that anyway. So it wasn't like we were being clever, but they wanted him to come to 240. And it's just, don't forget, AJ's never made weight before. So all of a sudden, he's tried, he'd been in camp for, 2 or 3 weeks, and he's probably sitting at, 260, 265. And it's like, you got to make two.
One reason Joshua's confidence is so high comes from the quality of sparring partners he has in camp. Footage shows him trading punches with top-level heavyweights, each bringing different strengths to the ring. Jared Anderson, known for his explosive power and relentless pace, forces Joshua to stay sharp defensively. Anderson tests every reaction and punishes any slow movements, keeping Joshua alert from the first bell to the last second of each round. Frank Sanchez offers a completely different challenge with his technical style. His ability to move smoothly around the ring, slip punches, and maintain balance pushes Joshua to adapt. Against Sanchez, Joshua must think fast, adjust his footwork, and approach exchanges more strategically. These sparring sessions aren't just physical tests. They simulate elite-level competition. Each partner applies pressure that Jake Paul has never faced. The variety of styles helps Joshua develop a complete approach, focusing on timing, accuracy, and the ability to switch tactics instantly.
Dwarfed by these way bigger heavyweights like Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez, and Lawrence Okolie. Okolie is like 6'4.5", 6'5", and these guys are like 6'3", 6'4", probably. So now Jake Paul is the one that's smaller. So first of all, I will give credit to Jake Paul. Clearly, he's a person who is taking his career seriously. These are quality sparring. I mean, a real boxer, because people say he's not a real boxer, but a real boxer would be using the same guys in their sparring camp. In fact, I just told you Joshua used Lawrence Okoli. I don't know if he sparred with Anderson or Frank Sanchez, but these are all regular ranked heavyweights. So credit to Jake Paul for that. And I mean, he's going to need it. Joshua is a different breed to, like, you know, a Mike Perry when it comes to boxing. Different frame, different size. In case you didn't believe me, right? Jake Paul, this is what MVP Promotions posted. So Jake Paul top sparring, right? Heavyweights. And here's some pictures of Joshua with Lawrence Okoli. And again, Joshua, a big dude, but you see Lawrence Okoli, and he probably was cruiserweight back then. I mean, I don't know exactly when this picture was taken, but he's only like an inch shorter than Anthony Joshua. And now, as he's moved up to the full heavyweight, he has filled out more. You see, he looks even bigger than when he was a cruiserweight. Now, I gotta research it, but I want to say I thought Lawrence...
Tony Jeff views Jake Paul's journey from the perspective of someone who has watched him steadily improve over several years. He acknowledges that Jake started with limited skill but gradually embraced the dedication needed to become a competent boxer. Jeff highlights the progress in Jake's fundamentals, especially his punch mechanics, distance awareness, and training discipline. He credits Jake for seeking guidance from experienced coaches and pushing himself far beyond what many expected from a newcomer. According to Jeff, anyone claiming Jake hasn't improved simply hasn't seen his progression.
They get older. Now, a problem for Anthony Joshua is his activity. He's only fought twice in 2 years. And one of them, he got knocked out off Daniel Dubois. That was his last fight. And a lot of people say you can only judge a fighter's quality from their last fight. And then the fight before that was a win, but it was a win against Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, if you know, he was the UFC heavyweight who's not a real boxer. And he only had one fight before that boxing fight, what he lost as well. So that's his activity in boxing. Now, Jake Paul, on the other hand, looking at his box rec, he's had 6 fights since 2023. And one of them was against Mike Tyson. But we all seen what happened in that fight. Mike Tyson was well past his prime. Where Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, but I'm not going to say he's coming into his prime because he had some great wins earlier on in his career before he lost to Usyk twice. And by the way, when he did lose to Usyk, the last one was a split decision. It was a pretty close fight. So now this fight is matched. And I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now, looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. Now, come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pound versus 252 pound. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are including at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Now, in the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights and he's lost 4 with 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight, and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The bout will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better for Jake Paul, and I'm thinking, not really. It's better for Anthony Joshua because he's just going to go all out for them 8 3-minute rounds. And imagine that, Anthony Joshua blasting at you, 6'6", whatever he is, 250 pounds, throwing big bombs at you. Anyway, both fighters will be using 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. Why have they got that? It says both fighters will be wearing 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. What do you expect?
Professional fighter Lamont Roach sees Jake's choice as both brave and extremely risky. From a competitive angle, he understands the appeal. Jake has built a brand on surprising the public and proving people wrong. Roach points out that financially, the fight is huge, offering Jake an opportunity few fighters get so early in their careers. He also notes the psychological side. Jake thrives on shock value, and stepping into the ring with someone as physically imposing as Joshua fits that narrative. Yet Roach emphasizes that courage must come with practicality. Joshua possesses real heavyweight power, which demands more than confidence alone. Roach acknowledges Jake's determination but warns that this move carries risks that cannot be underestimated, no matter how great the financial reward.
Excuse me. My first thoughts was this guy's crazy. Not gonna lie. But I get it. Coming from a guy who's not a true traditional boxer, and to be able to have a position where he can fight a former unified world champion, former Olympic gold medalist, and to do it on such a stage where Anthony Joshua was a superstar as well. I mean, like, he sold out the O2, you know, twice.
Absolutely.
I think. So, you know, I think Jake is setting himself up for, you know, a huge spectacle, and which is, you know, kind of smart. If you're going to go big, why not go to the highest, like the highest of the mountain? Why not? And I get it. That's what you call business right there. And I've seen a lot of guys calling them out, from like Gabe to, you know, other guys who are
Berlanga.
boxers. Yeah, like guys who actually beat them. But why would he settle for those guys when he could fight Anthony Joshua? So I think that's, you know, I think that's smart. I think that's super smart.
Smart is one thing. What do you think happens in the ring, though, champ?
I think he gets hurt for sure. I think he gets obliterated. Something close to like Francis Ngannou. I think something like that happens, and it's going to be bad for him. But
Chael Sonnen examines the situation with blunt honesty, asking whether Jake is showing admirable courage or stepping into something beyond reason. Sonnen respects Jake's willingness to face opponents who seem out of reach but questions the logic of choosing someone with Joshua's size and knockout power. He emphasizes that bravery can become harmful when preparation isn't enough to meet the challenge. Taking risks is commendable, but taking uninformed risks is dangerous, especially in a sport where a single moment can change everything.
The Francis Ngannou performance. What if Jake makes it 5 rounds, 6 rounds? What if Jake made it to the distance? What if Jake won a round? Now, it's very hard to believe. It's very hard to imagine. I think it's the big struggle with this fight. I cannot, off the top of my head, produce a fight for you in any form of unarmed combat that drew, that was exciting, where the audience did not have a reasonable expectation, an expectation to some degree that, well, if he does this or that, there is a way for this guy to win. And that's usually pretty easy to do because nobody knows anything about fighting. Nobody watching this right now, none of you, my millions of viewers, not one of you has ever boxed. Not one of you knows someone in the family. Well, my dad was a boxer. My uncle was a boxer. No, you don't. Not only are you not a boxer, you don't even know of a boxer. Now, I only share that because when I come out and say nobody knows what they're talking about when they're talking about boxing, like, it's not meant to be an insult. You don't know anything about boxing. It was never taught to you. None of you in recess boxed. None of your junior highs, your high schools, your colleges, your community colleges offered boxing. Your hometown didn't have a boxing gym. And really think about that. Because as much as you love the sport and as much as you think that you understand it, not only do you not understand it, you can't even have a conversation with other people who do because they don't understand it. So what is a win? I think that time counts. I think that time is a very big deal. You're in that little bitty ring, and I know a guy can run backwards, but running backwards is not illegal in boxing. It is.
Angelo and Josh steer the conversation back to boxing fundamentals. They stress that the sport is built on levels achieved through years of competition, discipline, and exposure to elite opponents. In their view, Jake Paul is still in a developing stage, while fighters like Joshua and Deontay Wilder compete in a realm defined by raw knockout power, polished technique, and years at the highest level. They argue that Joshua belongs to a class of athletes whose very presence can change the dynamics of a fight. With precise timing and explosive strength, they can end a contest in an instant, even when the opponent seems to be in control.
I just don't think that he could compete at the highest level. And I don't think he'd beat the top 5, top 6 guys. But that in that weight class is where he'd be at, like say 180, 188 or 189, somewhere around there is where he'd probably compete. There's not a lot of talent there though. So he might be pretty good in those weight classes. Him competing in the heavyweight division against like Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua or anybody else, no. He gets annihilated. I'm very surprised he signed this fight.
I was shocked he signed this fight. I texted my buddy Bo because Bo follows boxing really well, and I texted him. I was like, dude, we might see a death. And he said the same thing. He's like, I cannot believe he agreed to that fight. But the numbers, the numbers that are, nobody knows the true payouts. They're saying it's around $200 million that they're splitting evenly. So they're getting about $100 million each. He said that it was $267 million. So I don't know who you believe or don't believe, or it could be they're splitting 200 and the 67 delta, they had to pay DAZN because Anthony Joshua has a contract with DAZN. And this fight's going to be on Netflix. DAZN.
It's DAZN.
So they, which makes, how the hell?
Please stop saying DAZN, okay? That's like Saint Benoit, okay?
Where's the O in?
All right, everyone. Stay updated with the latest boxing news, highlights, events, and stories. Subscribe to Glove Lords and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Be sure to watch our other videos as well. Until next time, take care and stay safe.